what do you think? What do you think we can do better going forward? This is just the first edition, and for me, this is like an edition that we used to test the waters. So what has been your takeaway from everything, all the classes that we've had so far, the 3 classes that we've had?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning to me.
Yes, sir, can you hear me clearly? Fine.
Yeah, sure. I can hear you clearly.
Okay. Okay. First, I would like to admit that I've not been fully present due to some issues like network issues and all of that and like time. But for the sessions that I attended, I've gained very valuable knowledge. I mean, hands-on knowledge and how to um points that will just help me to get into the work. And the fact that you brought people that are actively in this field has helped me to gain life in, especially in personal branding and cinematography. For me, I've been gaining like very practical knowledge, which I don't have to like, delay myself and, just get into the work and, start making something. So thank you very much. It has been very practical for me, honestly. Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you so much, Tommy. Does anybody else want to speak? Is there any other person that wants to speak? Wow, so nobody else has gained anything. Nobody enjoyed the
Oh,
session.
sorry, sir. Good morning, sir. Chiwendu here.
All right, good morning, Chiwendu.
So like Tommy said, I would say the same thing because that's my experience. The classes have been really, really practical. I would just borrow that word. That's exactly the word I had in mind before she even came on. Like most of the things are not actually new, but we've never like seen them in a way where we can do them. But the classes really helped me, honestly. Even in the copies I've written throughout throughout this month, I've really like learned a lot. Very practical things that I know that for going forward, if I'm called to do something, and I'm always going to love Toby's class on copywriting and storytelling. So I know I can tell a good story about myself now and others. So it's been a great ride, honestly, and I thank you and I thank God and the Hangar team for that.
All right, thank you so much, Chiwendu. All right, Popo, go ahead.
Yeah. Good day. I guess for me, this has been one of the most sessions that are touching on what I'm doing. No, what our speaker for last Saturday's session said that most of us we've gone to universities and we have everything, but there was no real practical in the real world on what Hangar Sessions are really giving us, because back in university we were just given what is in the book, and some of the things that the speakers, especially the 3 speakers, took us through. It was priceless. It was just priceless. I mean, these are some of the things that I've really wanted to know more, and especially when it came to branding, storytelling, I mean, image. I mean, these are the things that most of the time I'm just like, yeah, I'm a content creator, and why am I not pushing most of my stuffs? Why am I not like getting what I really want? And after the class of cinematography, I realized the trick is I just need to do a few things which I'm supposed to be making sure that actually I'm getting them. And I want to thank God for this session and all our visitors, and I mean our guests. They did wonders, and I can't wait to jump out to the real thing out here and actually apply what I've been able to get.
All right, thank you so much, Popo. So just one more question. Which of the sessions did you enjoy the most? Let me just type it in the chat box. Which session did you enjoy the most out of the last 3 sessions that we've had? You can just type your answers in the chat box. So just a quick recap of last week's class before we introduce our facilitator, our final facilitator for the Hangar Sessions. Last week we learned about cinematography, and we had Explorer here with us. We had Additional Emotion, and he spoke extensively. I wasn't expecting him to speak as long as he spoke last week. And some of the important things that stood out for me in that class, for those who were not in the class, those who probably left the class early, the things that I took away from that class were: one, start with what you have. You don't need to have all the big gears. You don't need to have a Sony camera. You don't need to have a gimbal or all of those heavy equipment, the drones and all of those stuff. You don't need to have them before you start. Start with what you have. And then secondly, he taught us to not to stop learning. Said, don't stop learning, don't stop learning at whatever point you are. I told you he has worked on Netflix movies, but he's still learning. He showed you, he shared the screen with you guys the other day on Saturday. He's still learning on YouTube, still learning everywhere, still even taking courses. So never stop learning. That's one of the most important things I learned while I was still in school. That never, when you stop learning, is when you stop living. So don't stop learning. Don't stop yearning for knowledge. Some of us have not gotten to the level that he is right now, and he himself is still learning. So don't stop learning. And he told us, he showed you some places where you can actually go to learn some of those things that he showed us on Saturday. More on those things. He showed you some channels on. He shared some channels on YouTube. Showed you how to search for ideas as well on Pinterest. So very importantly, after this session today, we'll be sharing links to every other session. The reason why we didn't share the links initially was that we wanted to achieve maximum numbers in our classes, because if we are sharing links, people will not want to join classes. So after today's session, we'll combine all the links and send them across to every member of this session, every participant in this session. Lastly, very important, let me not even forget, he taught us that we should shoot passion projects too. Don't wait for people to come and pay you that come and shoot this thing for me. Shoot passion projects. That's how you build your portfolio. If you don't have a portfolio, people will not trust you enough to give you money to come and do jobs for them. So learn to shoot passion projects. Okay, for the question I asked, some people said brand management with dramaturgical, copywriting, storytelling, cinematography. I enjoyed all the sessions. Is this okay, Naomi? Toby stopping my list. Okay, copywriting, branding, copywriting. All right. Nice one, nice one. How many of you started seeing copies on the streets differently? Like you just began to walk on the street and you started seeing the billboards differently. Started seeing adverts differently after Toby's class. Or started seeing logos differently. How many of you? Kitchen window. Okay, yeah, that's one of the things that classes like this will do to you. Like you begin to reimagine those things. You begin to, and very importantly, from what Explorer said last week, shoot passion project. Aside from shooting passion project, you can also what do they call this thing now? You can do unsolicited ads. You can design unsolicited graphics for brands. I'm not saying that you should go and post it online and say it is the brand that is advertising, they can sue you, but you can do unsolicited. Perhaps you are walking along the street and you see an ad by a brand that doesn't really make sense to you. You can make it better. You can rethink that ad, you can rework on it and add it to your portfolio, and they call it unsolicited ads. But you don't have to go and promote it and say, oh, this ad is from this particular brand. So it helps you to rethink some things. Some of us, he showed us the Airbnb logo the other day, and some of us have never thought of it that way. Some of us have never seen the logo that way before, and you started to see it in another light. So these are the kind of things that classes like this will help you achieve. It will help you reimagine things. It will help you to unlock your creative side as well. And after this class today, of course, we'll be doing our presentations, and I would like to know what our experiences have been like in our various groups. All right. So straight to today's business. Today we have my brother. He's no longer my friend. You know, when you've been friends with someone for 2 decades, we've been friends for about 20 years now. There's a point where you just have to, they'll say you do appraisal and upgrade the person to become your brother. So Onoriode is a brother to me. He's not like a brother, he's a brother to me. So I'm just going to be reading out his profile. He's a brand identity designer, and he's going to be taking us on creative design this morning. So Onoriode Aluya is a multidisciplinary designer with over 5 years of experience designing digital experiences and brand identities. He's worked across fintech, edtech, and startup environments, blending product thinking and visual storytelling. At Dot Holdings, he leads the design of a banking and health insurance platform and also managed the full brand overhaul that brought 3 business units under one identity. He's also built investor decks, design systems, and onboarding flows that helped improve user trust and reduce drop-offs. Outside of work, Onoriode mentors other designers through ADP List, teaches at several cohorts, and speaks at design events. Ladies and gentlemen, please make welcome with me my brother and friend Onoriode Aluya, as he'll be taking us on this creative design class in the next 90 minutes thereabouts. Let's give him a round of applause, please, as he comes up stage.
Hey everyone, I'll be turning my video on as well. I don't know if the other um, facilitators did. Anywhere the network meets me and I can't turn on my video, like when the network is really bad, I'll turn it off back. But, hey everyone, good good morning, good
Good
morning
morning,
everyone.
sir.
All
Morning.
right, and
Good
hi.
morning, sir.
Please, you can at some point
Good
because I
morning. You're
really
welcome.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really want this to be an interactive class, so there will be some times where I would not want you to drop a chat. I would actually want responses. Is that fine with us?
Yes,
All
please.
right.
That's
Yes,
totally
sir.
fine.
Very fine.
All right. Okay. Hi everyone. The introduction Victor gave to me, I don't know where he found it from, but I'm just a nose. Because even me, I was wondering where all this, biography and all they were coming from. But yeah, Victor and I, we've been best friends for 20 years now. We've known since, since we used to bath outside with buckets and stuff. I did not used to bath outside with bucket, just him, sha.
Onos,
But
I beg. Onos, come again. I beg your pardon.
But yeah, it's not like we are old men or something. We're still very much young. I think we've known each other since single digit age. So that's like 9 or something. Single digit age, yeah. So it's not like we're old men that need walking stick and all. Um, yeah, let me just go into it. For those of you that might have a hard time pronouncing my name, just call me Onos for short, Onos. It might be easier so you don't have to bite your tongue or something. So I'll be sharing my screen now. I know I'm giving, was it 90 minutes, Victor?
Yes, please. Yes,
Uh,
please.
okay. I may not speak for that long because I want to keep everything I'm saying fresh in our memory and all. So I'm hoping to compress everything I want to say within 50 to 60 minutes, so that we have time for questions and any other thing. Um, I talk a lot, but which is why I'm also trying to condition myself to speak for just that 60 minutes. This will also be a visual class, so there'll be times where I'm showing slides of, just text, and there are sometimes when I'll carry you through case studies, like brand identity case studies. Um, so today we'll be speaking on brand identity design. This might be the only time I'll tell you people to drop something in the chat, but something I like doing when I'm taking a class is I also like people dropping their favorite emojis in the chat section. So if you have a favorite emoji, thank God this is not WhatsApp, so I'll not say stickers because I don't like stickers. So just drop in your favorite emojis in the chat or on screen. Hey, Jesus Christ, who is using Skull? I don't know Skull, oh, please. I don't know Skull, but Yeah, just dropping your favorite emojis in the chat. I think Adejumobi is probably going to be a comedian because he's the only one that has dropped laughing emoji. All right, the other people are dropping something very similar. All right, it's nice to meet every one of you. Okay, so um, the title for today's class is From First Impressions to Lasting Relationships. That's just the title, and it's going to be on brand identity design, but we're going to focus it more on the clients and you as a person. So now, giving a first impression that turns into a lasting relationship between you and customers, or you and your clients, or you and people you interact with daily. Um, so just a little bit about me. Again, my name is Onos. This is how it's spelled. I've had funny pronunciations of this name over years, but let's just leave it at that. Um, yeah, I'm a brand and product designer. I create illustrations, I create brands, I work on product design. It's just the path that I've carved out for myself. So I might work on a product today, and maybe they don't even have a brand, they did not have a logo, they did not have anything proper to support the product. Like they don't even have a proper type, color, or brand message. So most times I'll work with the client through a proper branding before I then move to the product side. Sometimes it involves working on illustrations for the brand as well. Um, One of the notable brand I worked with, I think that was last year or 2 years ago, is Roku. I don't know how many of us might know Roku. Roku is a cryptocurrency exchange site. They're one of the biggest in Africa. I worked with a design agency called Spencer Zill. Spencer Zill, they were the one who redesigned. Let me not just go into much of that, sha, but okay. Um, I worked with Spencer Zill on the rebrand for Roku. That was either late 2023 or early 2024. Yeah, that was one of the notable projects, and it was really tasking because I was working with a design agency. I usually work alone as a solo designer, but I worked with a design team. There was a director, other designers, motion guys, and all. I got more insight into strategy as well, which will be some of the things that we'll be talking about today on today's call. Sorry, on today's session as well. So what do we expect to get from this class? You would I've noticed most of us were really interested in copy, in branding, and all. Um, I've tailored this class not just for people who want to be brand identity designers, but people who would also be working with brand identity designers, or will have to work with and work in a space that requires brand identity design. The purpose is not just for this class, is not just for you to know how to do it, but for you to understand what it entails as well. So that when you understand what it entails, and you're in places where a brand identity design was done, you'll be able to have opinions, you'll be able to have conversations. One thing, I think I've said this with my friends before. I'm not an island of knowledge, but one thing I know I tell myself is I don't like being a signboard. I don't like being a signboard when I'm in a conversation. If you don't know what being a signboard means, basically this is what it means. Let's say you're in a group of you go somewhere and people are having a conversation, you are there with them having a conversation, and they've been speaking for like 30 minutes. You've not contributed anything. You are just there looking. You're just there looking, you're not saying anything, you're not doing anything, you're just there looking. Yes, you might be maybe the silent wise man, but usually it's usually nice to contribute to conversations. And for people like us here that are creatives, that are even in the copywriting space, the branding space, mind you, I notice I'm using, when I need to say brand identity, I say brand identity, and when I say branding, I say branding, because they are two different things. We'll go into that as well. So you could be into the branding side, you could be a social media manager, things like that. But let's say you join a design agency, you should be able to contribute, you should be able to have conversations, you should be able to contribute to anything they are saying, and that is the purpose of this class, for you to have much exposure both to design and both to and also knowledge as well. So basically, what I expect everybody should what we expect to cover in this class is an intro to brand design, the anatomy of brand design, the business of design. I don't like taking a class where I'm just speaking technical, like speaking brand design. We should also cover how can you make money in brand design. You get understanding the craft and also leveling up. So once you understand what brand design is about, brand identity design is about, how can you level up in it as well? Then the final part is question and answers. Might be a lot, but let's just get into it. So usually, I'm going to start with an icebreaker, and this is where I want everyone to respond. I'll start with a series of questions, and I'll just want to hear, our thoughts. So basically, we've gone through. I've watched some of our previous classes and all. And it has been really detailed. Kudos to all the facilitators that actually took those classes. So now, with everything you've learned so far, I just want a very, very short answer. You get, like, just give me what, and there's no wrong answer here. Just tell me what is the first thing that comes to mind. Um, you know. Also, just to be clear, can everybody see my screen? I know I did not even ask that, but it's funny.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
My screen. All right. So, what is the first thing that comes to mind when you hear the word brand? Now, I'm not saying brand identity design. I'm just saying brand. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
Yes, sir.
Anyone can answer. Yeah.
Someone like personality.
Okay. Personality. Habib says identity of an organization or personality. All right. That's awesome. Are there any other answers? Okay. That's fine. So I'll still keep my answer. I'll keep my answer a little pause for now, and I'll do a series of exercise. I still want us to answer this. Can anybody tell me what logo this is? I know this one might be simple.
Later.
Toyota.
Toyota,
Toyota.
Toyota. Okay, all right, correct. This is Toyota. Let's go to the next one. Now, can anybody tell me what logo this
In
is?
drive.
In drive.
In
In
drive.
What people, you people have tried. You people have gone over the country. You've gone everywhere. Okay, I can see there are a lot of rich people on this call. Me, I used to enter Downfall. So those of you that are using InDrive, wow, you guys are rich men. All of you know InDrive. All right, awesome. This is InDrive. Now, I'm going to make this a little trickier. Who can tell me what this?
Adidas.
Adidas.
Adidas, yes.
Adidas.
All of you are fast though. All right, so this is more like a trick question. Yeah, this is Adidas. Um, sorry, this is not Adidas old. This is Adidas original. So now the reason why I use this particular one, there Adidas uses two logos actually. There's this version and there's the one of I'm going to be switching between two screens. So this is my presentation screen and this is my browser screen. Adidas uses these two logos. Forget about this one on the right first. I couldn't get one quickly. I have a lot of links here, a lot of case studies, a lot of visual things to share with us today. So it's going to be a very insightful class. So Adidas uses two logos. This one represents their original line. So when I say something like original line, it's more like some of their casual, like some of their old their classic designs, some of their classic designs, like for people that still wonder nostalgia of like their classic designs, you would see most of this logo being used. But this is the one you would see more on their modern designs, their more current designs. So this one basically just represents a mountain, and anybody who knows what a mountain is more like overcoming challenges. That is what this logo signifies. For those of us that don't know, maybe I should have asked what this means, but it's fine. We still have other questions to ask. So now this one represents basically a mountain, and it was drawn abstractly like this. And now you might be thinking, oh, I showed the logo. That means this is what a brand is. This is not what a brand is. Let's just be clear. It's more of a trivia, but this is not what the brand is. If you've had this in mind that this is what, oh, just seeing the logo, that means this is a brand. I beg you now to take your mind off that. Now we're going to do something a little more trickier. I still want your mic on. Can anybody tell me what brand this is?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. I'm seeing Dolapo. Dolapo, I know you, please. No response from you. No response from you. Okay. All right. So yeah, this is Coca-Cola. Kudos, kudos. Can anybody tell me what brand this is? Hmm. No, no,
Piggy
no
Zara
brand.
Vest.
or cow rice.
Curry,
Piggy
not curry,
Vest. Not
Cowrie
Curry
Wise.
Wise.
It's
not
Cowrie
curry.
Wise. Yeah, it's Cowrie Wise.
Wow.
Wow.
It's Cowrie Wise. At least I had mixed answers this time. It's not Piggy Vest. It's Cowrie Wise. Can anybody tell me what brand this is?
MTN.
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 All right, that's awesome. So how could you tell without the logo? How could you tell this was MTN?
The
Because of
colors,
the
sir.
colors.
Color.
And we
Okay,
already used to the use
Yellow.
like
all right,
okay.
okay. Because of the color, and also, back then, can anybody tell me what used to be MTN's catchphrase back then? Like, what was their popular, their
Everywhere
Everywhere
you
you
go.
go.
Everywhere you go.
You
everywhere?
go. And that
Awesome.
was
Everywhere. That was their previous. That was their previous catchphrase. Their new one is "What are we doing today?" I'm sure some of us are still trying to get used to it. Yeah, the identity is distinct. You can just tell. Now, here, I did not show you a logo. I only showed you the illustration style, but most of us could tell that this was Carrywise. Here, I also is this Coca-Cola's logo?
Mm,
Can anybody answer that?
no, sir. That's no Coca-Cola's logo, sir.
No, no.
This is not their logo. This is just like a swoosh, more like a pattern. You'd see it on their bottles too. You get this is more of their logo. But with all of this, you could still tell the brand, like what brand this was. Now, this was just with the text and color. This one was with the illustration. This one was just with a swoosh, a pattern. But you could tell this was a particular brand. Now, this is more of what we are hoping to when you want to do this is what establishes a proper brand. Do you understand? More of like a brand is just more than a logo or even what you can see. A brand it's like I can take you through more examples. For example, those of us I don't watch football that much, but even me I don't watch football that much. There's this song when you hear it, it's like a hymn. I don't know if I'm sure people are already getting where I'm going to. There's this competition they play, it's more like a hymn. The song sounds like a hymn. Can anybody tell me what that competition's name is in
The
football?
best UEFA Champions League.
Exactly. The Champions League. Yeah, Azaya, yeah, correct. The Champions League. That one. So what I mean by like a brand is more than a logo, or even what you can see. It transcends just anything you can see. There's still sound, there's motion, there's a feeling. You understand? For Coca-Cola, their catchphrase is taste the feeling. Taste the feeling. That's why most times you drink when you drink this thing. Although now, if I drink Coca-Cola and Pepsi, I may not be able to tell the difference. But there was a time when you could drink Coca-Cola and you just know that you did not need like you've seen some competition where they will wrap or maybe they will peel off the bottle or something or pour it in a cup and they will tell you to taste it. And like you could tell that you see some competition and you see people they can tell that oh this is Coca-Cola, no, this is not Coca-Cola, things like that. And their own catchphrase, their own brand message basically is taste the feeling. They wanted to attribute is it that there's a particular feeling with Coca-Cola? Maybe not really. But if you watch their ads
I
and
know
all
then.
okay. You might want to turn off your mic, Kirole. I don't know if or did you say something? Okay. Basically, a brand, a brand is more than just a logo. It's more than just the illustrations. It's more than just the colors. It's more than just the typography. It's when you bring all of that, when you bring all of that together under a consistent theme, under a consistent message, something that is very consistent. That is when you're creating a brand identity. You understand? That is when you're creating a brand. A brand is not just a logo. A brand can also be their message. It can also be, you understand, like how they speak, their colors. You get things like that. You don't want to see a brand, maybe a brand that is towards earth or towards what they call it. um, towards charity. For example, who's drawing on the um, presentation? You don't want to see something that is towards maybe the ecosystem and the color for their brand is color red. It's going to be very off. Most times they use color green for anything that is towards the eco, anything that is towards, you know, towards life. These are some of the things like meanings we've attached to so many things. You understand? So a brand identity is more than just a logo. It's even transcends beyond what you can see. Like we gave the example of the Champions League. You don't need to, even a blind person, when he hears that sound, he doesn't need to see the logo, he doesn't need to see the illustrations or images. The person can tell already that it's the Champions League. That is what branding is. Now, to answer, I mean, you guys have already put it beautifully well. Now, the answers I'm going to give to what a brand is or to what branding is, I'm only giving it in context to brand identity design. You understand? You might go to a different place and you might hear what a definition of a brand. It might still be correct, but sometimes people explain some of all these things in context. And now I'm giving you this in context to what um, you know brand and branding is in brand identity design. So now a brand basically is perception. A brand is the meaning people attach to you over time. Basically what people are saying about you over time is what your brand is. So now you might say I'm trying to look for an example of one brand that like people don't want to attribute things to anymore. You might come out and you say you're a brand for the people, and most of the things you are doing is against people. Like it's not I'm trying to look for a brand that made that same mistake. Basically, let me say you're a food brand, and you say you're a brand for the people, you're a brand towards good health, and basically anybody who has eaten your maybe the kind of food you're producing is something very bad. Like maybe people are complaining of indigestion, people have been going to toilet, and people have come online to complain. So regardless if you say you're a brand for what they call it, you're a brand for good health, you're a brand for good food, like what people are saying online is different. Before you know, that's the meaning people will attach to it, to your brand. You might be saying one thing, but if everybody's coming together to say the same thing about your brand, that is what they will attach to it. And now that is what basically a brand is. But if I want to put all of this together, branding versus brand identity. Now, brand is perception, branding is shaping that perception, and an identity, they are the tangible signals to that brand. Now, how can I give you this in an example? Um, I noticed in the last class they used Nike. Seeing that like one of the classes they use Nike, I'm just going to keep it in that same scope. Now, there's a perception that people have towards Nike already. You understand that it's more of like um, it's for athletes, and it's for people who are serious about athleticism, people who are serious about getting fit, people that are serious about being fit, being an athlete and all. Now, when it comes to branding, when people have started thinking that way about your brand, what branding is then the process of shaping people's thoughts to think that way. Now that's I mean, more people who are into brand strategy and all, they will call that brand psychology. Trying to do things like with the colors, shaping that perception. When you enter identity, that's when we start doing things like that. But how can you shape people's perception? Through your messaging, like through the kind of messages you pass across. Like Nike's own is just do it, and any other message they are putting, you get, is more of tailored towards just doing it. Then there are other ways you can do it, maybe based on like the people that are your brand ambassadors. You will not see Nike using who can I even use safe? You will not see Nike using a chef, for example, as their brand ambassador. Who would they use most times? They'll use athletes. athletes. They'll use people like Serena Williams. They'll use um, footballers. They'll use people who are into athleticism. You get, and not just the people that are maybe not doing well. There are people that are like stars in that field, people that are maybe aiming to be better. You get, those are the kind of people. And now, like I said, I'm even going more specific. They are not just using any footballer, any random footballer. They are using, and they are not just only using known footballers, for example, or known athletes in general. They are using the ones that have stories that come into being, that focus on hard work. You get, that focus more on hard work. People that you go to their Instagram page, you see them, maybe they like, you've not gone through 5 or 10 images. You will see them, you will see an image of them in the gym or them training. You get, go and check most of the stars that Nike uses. Go to their page, you will see at least, if you go through 5, you see that one of those images are either them training, maybe playing basketball or playing tennis or playing football. That is how, like, that's the perception they've shaped. So they are shaping it. And other things are through, the kind of colors they are using, things like that. That is when we then go to identity, the tangible signals. You cannot say your you're focusing on athletes and you're using chef when you want to maybe do a poster. Maybe you want to do a poster on Nike, and on Just Do It, you see a fat, okay, I don't want to body shame anybody. I don't want to use body shaming words. I would say, okay, you see a chef cooking instead. You get, or you see somebody sleeping on a couch. You get, those tangible signals, they will attribute it to what people like, maybe an athlete running. You get, it's only when you see maybe the only times you will see them use people that are not maybe active or actively doing something is maybe when they are trying to sell their what they call it, their clothing line. Like maybe when they want to sell their track suits and things, and they want people to see it clearly, that's when they will use people like models. But if they are selling maybe their sneakers or things like that, most times you see those people, they are active. You get, because that's the perception they are trying to shape. I could give more other examples, but before that, let's just go into more explanations or more things. Now we're going to go into the anatomy of an identity. Basically, let's see what an identity consists of. Um, After I share the entire anatomy of this identity, I'll walk us through this particular case study. It's from a design agency called Studio Koto. It was a work they did on boats, not the boats that you know, because I know some of you like InDrive already. So it's not the boats, a ride-hailing boat. This is a different boat. So now we're going to walk through an anatomy of an identity. Basically, what's the anatomy of an identity? Like, um, I will not say it's a comprehensive list, but these are the things that consist of an identity. Basically, a checklist of what a proper identity contains. So first thing an identity contains will definitely be the name, the logo. The logo is this bolt actually. The color, which is this color you're seeing, and the type. This is like the first level of the anatomy of an identity. The next thing you would see is their imagery and illustration. Now, everything you're seeing here, I'm using just one brand as a case study. Now, can you notice how consistent their imagery is? They are not using the same people, but if you look at the image style, you notice everything is in perspective. You notice how the legs are in perspective or the shoes are in perspective. This is what brand identity is all about. Ensuring there's a consistent image, there's something consistent about the brand every time. So now if you notice this is their image style. If you go to their website, you will see this there. And when I show you the case study, you will see some of these things I'm talking about. Now, if you see their illustrations, it's also in perspective. You notice that one part is always bigger than the other. This is their illustration style, their imagery and illustration. Now you go to their voice and their copy. They've created a consistent copy. Notice the illustration here is still also in that same perspective. And also they use Gen Z-ish words like beach bags boat. Lighter, please can you turn off your mic, your audio rather? So they have a voice, they have a tone of voice already. Then they have their copy. They are keeping it very, very consistent, easy breezy shopping freely. Basically, things that roll off your mouth easily. That is how Bolt is. And if you go to their website, that is what they're all about. And one final thing is also motion, sound, and interaction. There was this brand, I would have used that as an example. How many of us know Number? NOMBA. They are into POS like Money Points. Does any of us know Number here? They do POS services like Money Point as well. Nobody.
Yeah, I've not heard of it.
Oh wow. Okay. Oh okay. Isaiah knows Number. All right. Yeah. I mean, Money Point has really
I
dominated.
know number.
Okay, yeah. So Number did a brand identity redesign recently, and when they did, Number is the new identity. They used to be called Kudi before. They used to be called Kudi. I think maybe they had issue with Kuda because people were knowing Kuda more than Kudi. Maybe that might be the reason. I don't know. But they redesigned from Kudi to Number. And when they were doing their redesign, they did everything you're seeing here, both imagery, illustration, voice, and copy. One beautiful thing they added to the identity is sound design as well. So basically, they added sound. Like they added, if you go back to the days, there's this kind of sound numbers make, maybe when you are pressing your keyboard or you are pressing your calculator. They added that kind of sound so that they introduced it into their POS. You get another example is Money Point. You understand? There's nowadays if you go to a POS shop or you want to go to a supermarket and you're using a Money Point POS device, when you send money, all of us knows that beep sound. That beep sound when you send money to a Money Point POS. They've added it as part of the identity. You get that when you're sending money, you get a beep sound. That's part of their brand now. Other brands may do it, but everybody has attributed it to Money Point. So any brand that is even doing it now, it will feel as if they are copying Money Point. You get. Um, these are the things that constitute of the anatomy of an identity. And now I'll just switch quickly to Koto's work on both. So now this is both. This is the identity they worked on both. Remember I talked about motion. The reason why I'm showing us this case study is because I also wanted to show us the part of motion. So now the brand logo itself, if you look at this L here, is a boat. How many of us can see this? So this is when it comes to I really love using agency works when I'm showing brand identity design. So if you look at this BOLT, um the name of the brand is boat, but in between the L and T is the mark of a boat as well. And now look at how they introduced it into their motion. Can you see how they use that boat inside every part of the motion? Also, there's this kind of flicker. So there's this, you see there's a white line before the black overshadows that line. So now this is how they introduced motion. They blended it with their brand identity. You get the name of the brand is Bolt, and the motion kind of reflects lightning. And you see, kind of reflects the motion reflects lightning, and also the text. You know when you see lightning before the sound comes, there's this kind of white light that reflects as well. If you notice on the text, they use a white light before the actual black text. That is how they've introduced brand identity design into motion. For those of you that don't know, Koto Studio is one of my favorite design studio. They were the one who redesigned, all of us who know Amazon, they were the one who redesigned the identity of the brand identity of Amazon and all their brands. Now we'll go more into, can you see more of their imagery? The imagery is more of that perspective. Now this one is not entirely related to lightning, you get, but they've made this imagery very consistent so that if you don't need to see the Bolt logo to know that when I see images like this, you can easily attribute it to Bolt. So now, can you see they've introduced the motion, they've introduced their copy all through. Now look at how now this is text. This is the typical text. Can you see how they introduced more of the Bolt that bolt from their logo. They introduced it into their typography as well. So the normal exclamation mark, they started adding bolts. They changed the normal exclamation mark to the sign of bolt as well. Now this is agency work. You get, I'm not expecting that, like, you just sit down and before you know you are doing crazy work like this. And the whole point of this is not maybe for intimidation or anything, it's more of exposure. Because the more you see things like this, the more better you are at seeing outstanding works, outstanding identities. If you look all through this text, you notice how they introduce boats into things like this. If you look at the art symbol here, the art symbol also introduces that boat mark as well. Now this is the logo. Can you see? Now this is the exclamation mark. They've changed it from the normal exclamation to more of like a bold kind of exclamation, so that when they are saying things that requires exclamation mark, they will use this thing instead of using the regular exclamation mark. They are using this on brand thing in their typography. Can you see how they took their own typography to the next level? They took it up a next level. Also, notice how, can you see their motion? I don't want to turn on the sound because it might start affecting our ears. Also, look at the imagery. Can you see both the shoes? Can you see how everything is in perspective? Bicycles, shoes, bags, headphones, everything is in perspective. They are not all straight. This is how they've brought in their own brand. They've done a very, very consistent brand, and they've brought everything together. Same with the illustration here, imagery. Can you see the use of motion, the use of that boat strike as the pattern? More on the imagery. Now this is their typography, their copy rather. Some parts in, like, some screens there, they've done a very, very comprehensive experience from the identity to the product itself, because this boat is a digital product. It's for people who check out, who use e-commerce to check out. You get, so they brought in even to the products like their web app as well. They did iconography. They did icons that are consistent with the brand logo, with the brand identity. This is what a brand identity is. From the branding, they are shaping everything. So now they are shaping your perception, your perception. You get to see that things can be done lightning fast. You get, things are done lightning fast because they are a checkout company. So basically, they are trying to shape your perception that, like, things can be done lightning fast, lightning quick. So now that's why you're seeing a kind of like a lightning strike. You're seeing, like, things flashing like that, telling you how fast their service is. They are shaping your perception. That's branding. That's one part. And now, how did they show you that perception? How did they show you that branding? It's through the identity, how they have expressed their entire identity. I'm also checking the time to ensure I'm not taking so much time on some of all of these things. Now, can you see easy breezy shopping freely? Their copy, everything is in line, their imagery, everything is always in perspective. I have more examples to share, and hopefully we'll go through all of them. So now that is an anatomy of design, of an identity, quickly. So now, next thing we'll do, we'll go into another part of identity design. When it's time for you to work on an identity, you always ensure you do a ground level discovery before design. You need to ensure that clarity beats impulse. You need to get your inputs right first. What do I mean by things like this? Somebody comes to meet you. Now I'm slowly getting into the business of design. So there's an account I will introduce you to before the end of this class. There are two things they use, two words they use. There's the design of business, and there's the business of design. Now, what you need to know first is the business of design. Now, you might be a good designer, you might be very good, you might see things that people out there are doing. They are any way better than you, and you're asking yourself, I can do this thing better than this person. Why is this person, you know, why is this person, making more money than I am? It's because you've not understood the business of design. Because while there is design, there is the business side of it. Are you following me? Even in copy, even in anything creative, there's always the business side of it. Now, if you want to stand out, one thing you should always do is ground level design, ground level discovery before design. That's one thing that makes people stand out most times. For an example, somebody comes to reach out to you, a customer or a client, tells you, "Oh, I've seen your work, they look nice. How much will it cost for me to do something, to do an identity?" And some people, the first thing you just do is, "Oh, I charge 100K." That's not like, there's no value has been passed like that. No value has been passed. You are telling me so. If you meet somebody more experienced, the first thing they will do is to ask you questions, try to understand your brand. If you meet a professional, when you tell them, "Oh, I want to do something, how much?" They will not tell you how much immediately. They will want to understand. They will ask you, "What's the name of your brand? Oh, who are you servicing? Oh, what is this? Oh, what is that?" Trying to get ground level discovery before they even start any other thing, because um it even gives a wrong feeling self when you just come and meet somebody and the person just tells you the price straight up. It will just be as if the person does not really care about you. So these are some kind of things you need to understand even when you're working as a you want to enter the field as a brand identity designer, or even you're in creative space speaking to a brand identity designer, you're speaking with um people in your team that are brand identity designers. When you ask them questions, the kind of questions they ask you is going to determine a lot. It's going to shape how you even view them as well. Now, see things like this. These are discovery questions. When you want to create a brand for someone or a client, when you ask them a question like, "If your brand was a person, who would your customers say you are?" Do you get, like, picture your brand that, like, okay, this is my brand. Let me say Nike. Nike is a human being, and Nike enters a room. What will people, after like an hour with Nike as a person, what will people say Nike was, or Nike is, or who will people say Nike is? You get, that is what those are the kind of questions you ask a customer, and to make them think like, okay, if my brand was a person, what kind of person would people say I am? Would they say I'm friendly? Would they say I'm calm? Would they say I'm very professional? Will people who relate with me as a person, would they say I'm very chatty or I talk too much? Would they say I'm playful? Now, when you're creating a brand, things like that is what you call a brand personality. It helps designers create a personality for your brand. For example, I'm going to ask a question. Um, if you want to think of a playful brand, I just want like maybe two or three answers. If you want to think of a playful brand, which brand comes to mind when you think of playful or fun? Can anybody answer? When you want to think of a brand that is playful, a brand that seems very playful or fun and energetic, what brand comes to mind? Are we still thinking? Chicken Republic,
I gave
Gordon,
them examples last 2 weeks. So
Gordon, Hope is not Gordon the dry gin. Oh. No answers. Oh. What is happening now?
I I I think Pepsi.
Okay.
Some
Okay.
yeah.
All right. That's awesome. Is there any other answer? Okay. Let me show you something.
Milo. How about Milo?
Milo. Okay. Milo is more energetic. Milo is more of an athlete's drink as opposed to being fun. Milo is a little fun. I can go with that, but Milo feels more energetic than, sorry, this is not what I was meant to do. I want to show us something. How many of us know Fanta here? At least at one point in time, all of us we've drank Fanta. Can we look at this brand? What do you feel when you look at this, when you just look at this identity?
It's colorful.
It's colorful, it's
And
energetic,
fun.
Yes, colorful, the color that
it looks fun. Now this is there's brand, there's branding, then there's brand identity design. Now, branding, they've done that branding part is where you do the brainstorming session when you're with your team trying to decide how do you want this brand? Like how can we make this brand look fun? How can we make this brand look cheerful? How can we make this brand look exciting? You get just walk with me through this identity. Can you see how colorful it is? This was what it used to be before. This is how it is now. Can you see the illustrations? Can you see how things are flying around? Look at the posters. Let's even the copy when you have what? Fun. Now, look at the illustrations. Can you see how colorful and how exciting they look? Now, this is one brand that has always come to mind. There's Fanta, there's Mirinda as well. If all of us, I don't know, some of us that are older here, if you see more of the Mirinda adverts of those days, there's this kind of fun that their adverts used to have those days. There are many other brands you can point out to. You understand? Yeah, I can agree with Spotify. I'm not sure of MTN or Airtel. Most times because of how MTN positions itself. MTN uses their yellow and black. Most times when you start seeing just yellow and black alone, or even red, just red alone, like a single color, sometimes you are trying to maintain a very professional tone. You understand? But it's like I mean, your answers are still very much valid. So now these are the kind of things like trying to merge a feeling. These kind of questions help you merge a feeling and something visual. Basically, when you move into brand identity design, you're trying to take a perception, something people feel, and you're trying to give that feeling a visual. Like you're trying to make people attribute something that is intangible to something that is tangible. It's almost something that you can feel or you can sense. Basically, that's what brand identity design is. You are making a brand feel touchable. You're making a brand feel like you can touch it, you can interact with it. You're making a brand feel like it's a person. That's what brand identity design is. When a client reaches out to you and you're asking questions like this, you're asking about their goals, you're asking about their scope, and one very important thing, you're asking about their budget. Sometimes sometimes it's better a brand tells you their budget first before you speak, so you don't shoot yourself in the leg, and also so that you don't even just continue a conversation or so. One other very important thing is also success metrics. One thing I do with every brand before I work with them is what would when you start the project, you're asking them what will make this project feel like a success to you. What does success look like to you when you and I work on this project? By the end of this project, oh sorry, I'm just saying this, Naomi. Indomie, yes, Indomie is a fun brand. um I'm not an old man. I'm just going to give one quick example. I know Victor also knows knows that advert too. There's this very old Indomie advert of this child and her father. They were together and the girl was hungry. She then saw one Indomie billboard like this, and she just closed her eye and she started imagining herself eating the Indomie and the chicken till everything finished. I don't know if any of us remember that advert. If you remember that advert, I don't know what to say. Yeah. So yeah,
Say it with your full chest.
I'm
Dollar
not saying
four.
I'm not saying any other food, but yeah, Indomie, I can agree Indomie is fun. Then there was this other brand too. What's their name? Yeah, I agree with Indomie Naomi. There was this other one Indomie did, Mama do good or she do good. I'm not old. I promise you, I'm not an old man. I'm not even using monkey stick yet. But yeah, I agree with Indomie as well. Okay, so like I was saying, um, I'm trying to merge when I'm explaining what or introducing what brand identity is. I'm also trying to ensure I'm speaking about how you should speak like a business person, a professional as well. You're asking about their goals. You may not ask all of this. I'm not even somebody comes to meet you and is asking you about oh, I want to work on a brand. You cannot start asking them about all of this before telling them price. You get, because that's what a brand discovery session would be when you start the work. But there are some questions you need to ask, simple questions that will make the person go back and think first. Okay, you've not even done the work, but the kind of questions you ask the person make the person think that, you know what, this person knows what he's doing. You get, these are some things that are separating people in the design industry. Do you understand? In the creative industry, even in copy as well, you get, when you're asking a brand, somebody comes to meet you and say, "Oh, I want to work on I'm trying to start a blog. Can you come in to me? Come join my team as a copywriter." You get, and you're asking the person, "How do you want to sound like?" Like if you were in a room and people are hearing you speak, how do they want you to how do you think they hear they feel like you sound like? Are you sounding like someone very overconfident? Are you sounding like someone that is wise? Are you sounding like someone that is very knowledgeable? Things like that to make them sit down and think before responding more. So one major selling point is when you're making customers or clients feel like they are part of the process. You're asking them questions, and is the answers they are giving you and you are using to shape whatever you do. You get, it makes them feel like a part of the process. Now, after you do all of that, one other thing I always advise is to respond with a rate card. Most times you package yourself, majorly you package yourself, you respond with a rate card. There are many sites you can use, um, and like the most simplest one now is ChatGPT. You give ChatGPT context that, oh, I'm a brand identity designer. I want to create a rate card. Check the whole of check analysis in Nigeria, for example, the average rate for um, that brand identity designers are designing identities or brands. You get, and use that to create a comprehensive rate card for me. Give ChatGPT a lot of context. One of these days, I plan on creating a course where you're designing with ChatGPT, not just for design itself, like creating design, also for the work aspect or like the business side of ChatGPT as well. Hopefully, I get to do that one of these days. But basically, you give ChatGPT a lot of context and to create the rate card for you. What will be left for you is just for you to maybe put it in a proper document, like take what it has given you and put it in a proper document. Sometimes it can even create a document for you as well. That depending on the kind of context. If you want to drop your brand colors, your logos, and things like that, it will do that for you. Um, One other thing we're going to go into now is the pyramid of branding. There are, for me, there are like four levels of branding when it comes to brand identity design. Four levels. Now, there's the first level, which is decoration. That's level one. Um, that's where some people, like, you're charging like 5K. I'm just going to design a logo for you. I'm going to give you an example. I'm not saying this person doesn't do more than just logos, but I'm going to give you an example. This is an example of just decoration, like a logo. For example, it looks good. You send this to a client, it looks very nice just seeing it. Do you understand? I'm not saying this guy doesn't do more than just logos, but most times how he positions himself is he just wants to do a logo for you. You get, now look at logos like this. If somebody presented a logo to you like this without just black and white, something like this, trust me, you're going to like looking at it. You understand? This was what a redesign he did for OpenAI. So now this is the first level of logo of branding. Most times it's just a decoration. It looks nice and is a quick output. Most times what people do in this level of branding is just a logo, color, and typography. Most times this is just all they do. Sometimes they may put fancy visuals like these other ones I just showed you, like this background you've seen. Do you understand? But basically they think of it more of like a decoration, something that just looks nice. This is the first level in the pyramid of branding. Then we go to level two. Level two is design. You are solving problems with a system of assets. You are doing things that are consistent. So here you're doing things like you're working on a mood board first. If you don't know what the mood board is, I would suggest you maybe after this class. Just so I'm also being very cautious of time as well. I want to try and be done before 12:30. Um, so um, this level two, you're solving problem. Like you've moved from just doing a decoration to asking questions. You're trying to solve a problem. Like you're trying to understand, who are your target audience? Are they younger people? Are they older people? When I showed you this Fanta brand, for example, do you think this Fanta brand, will you see people of 50, 60? You can turn on your mic now. Will you see people of age 50 or age 60 associating themselves with a brand like this?
No.
No, right? Why? Can you tell me why, Chiwendu?
Okay. It looks childish.
Yeah,
So the
yeah,
average old person would not want to get involved with something like this.
all right. That's very, very true. It looks very. I mean, even if you would see an old person attribute themselves with something like this, it's going to be like one, like maybe 2% out of 100, you get. And this is just an assumption from me. I mean, I don't have statistics to back this up, but basically when you're asking questions for a brand, like trying to understand their target audience, like, are you this brand you're trying to create now, is it for younger people, is it for the older people, what age range, you understand? It will help you with thinking of things like the kind of colors you are using, the kind of illustration style you're using. You get, how many of us have seen Uber? If you've seen Uber's branding, you see their illustration, everything looks very classy with their black and white. I don't want to go through that because I still have some other case studies to share. And if I start going through that one too, it's going to take so much time as well. Sorry, give me a moment. Somebody is trying to call me. I don't want that to disrupt this call. Now, let me show you an example of what you would see in level two. These ones are done more like by solo designers as well. So in this range, you will see people charge from like maybe like 500K to a million for designs like this because they're actually solving problems now. Do you understand? So things like this, you see, this is a brand identity designer. He's one of my favorite brand identity designer. He's not an agency, he's more of a solo designer. You get an agency. When I anytime you hear me use words like agency, an agency comprises of a large number of people. You get, for example, an agency might have just a copy person, you might have a different motion designer, you might have somebody that designed just the logo. You might have somebody that just worked on the typography. You might have somebody that does colors. You might have somebody that does the 3D assets part of the brand design. You might have somebody that does the illustration side. You understand? Like this now, I've mentioned like 6 or 7 people. They might have like an overall art director, somebody that directs, okay, this is how I want this thing to look like. Do you understand? That is what an agency is. But when you come to solo designers like this, they are very limited, but even in their limits, you will see them assuming so many roles. Like a brand identity designer can be a copywriter. He might not be the best copywriter, but he has that as a skill. Which is why when I started this call, I was saying that like this class is not just for someone who wants to be a brand identity designer or is a brand identity designer. You could be a copywriter, but you need the knowledge of brand identity design as well. So that when you're working in teams, you can speak, you understand what you're looking at, and you can also throw suggestions and ideas as well. So now this is something that I would say in a level two of design. Now this guy can do more than just the level two. I'm just using this project as an example. This project was also featured on Behance. If you don't know what Behance is, it's a platform for case studies. So now this is the logo. Now it's showing expressions of the logo. This is, if you notice this background, it's a glass 3D representation of this letter M. Now it's showing how this thing is expanded. Can you see there's a pattern on the background? You notice the imagery has like this kind of very professional feel already going through it. This is the illustration style. These are the colors. Can you see that pattern is being repeated here as well in the identity? Now, this one, can you notice it looks really nice? Can you see the typography is very, very consistent? The illustration style too is very consistent. But can you see it's not as detailed as that one I shared with you by Bolt? Can you see how intricate that one on Bolt was? Because that one, there were a lot of people who worked on it. This one is just one person. And here is showing examples of where you can use it on posters, on folders, on signage, on social media. You get on lampposts, things like that. Can you see? And it's keeping everything very consistent with the colors, with the typography, with the pattern. Now here you are solving a problem. He has already understood who the target audience are. You understand? He already understands the scope of the project. Things like this. So now from here, the first phase I told you was what? Level one, which is decoration. The second one is then design. The third phase is branding, creating an end-to-end experience and recognition. Now, this is where as a you would see most design agencies, here. Here they charge projects from like 10 million and above for projects like this one because they are creating an end-to-end experience. Remember when I talked about number by it was the same agency. I don't know how many of us know Fort Canvas here. Fort Canvas, they were the one who worked on number. They were the one who also worked on the branding or rebranding of Piggy Vest. I'm sure every one of us here knows Piggy Vest now. They were the one who worked on that. And now they created an end-to-end experience. You get from how the logo looks like, how the color looks like, how the typography looks like. Then you then move into experience like, okay, how can I bring something like that into their mobile app? You know, Piggyverse has a mobile app. How can I bring that branding, ensure it's consistent into the mobile app? How can I ensure it's consistent on social media? How can I ensure it's consistent on their website? You start thinking of experience, which is why I said end to end experience. I'm going to show you another case study again by Studio Koto. They were the one who redesigned Amazon. They redesigned an entire experience of Amazon. Some of us knows Amazon as a website. You get some of us knows Amazon as a website where you buy things, an e-commerce website. Some of us know people like me. I know Amazon more of Amazon Prime, which is their video service, their streaming service where you watch movies. Amazon also cuts across pharmacy. They have like a medical line as well. Amazon they have like a store line as well. So not just electronics on social on like but like buying things online. They also have like a store where you can buy fresh foods, things like that. Can you see? And what these people Yokoto did, they designed from Amazon, the Amazon as a brand, the e-commerce brand. They designed it to Amazon Prime. They ensure the consistent brand as well to the medical line, the fresh food line, everything. They thought of all of that experience all through. You get, and it took them over a year. I think they did this project for close to 16 months. You get to finish this. Now they were not just only doing like solving the problem of because a brand like this that has like because the way the e-commerce is different from how Amazon Prime is, which is their video services. Like the way people will relate to that one is different with how they will relate to their e-commerce site. So you're not just dealing with one person now as a brand, you're dealing with multiple personalities. You get, so it's more wider, and also they will think of strategy as well, like how can we work on the strategy of this brand. These ones are more like they are way in depth than the rest. Now if you can go with me with this, now this was the existing brand. This was how Amazon used to look like before. Amazon has several brands under them. There's also Amazon Music as well. I did not even cover the music part. There's also Amazon Music. Now, first thing they did, they redesigned the actual Amazon, the e-commerce site. Can you see? If you notice, this first one uses the color orange. There are several brands underneath it. Now they are thinking of the experience. That how will this logo, how will the copy look like on their bosses? How will we brand their bosses? Can you see? There's Amazon Prime, there's Amazon Medical, there's Amazon Vendor. Alexa is their AI. There's Amazon Live, there's Amazon Business, there's Amazon Music, several things. Now, after they move from, you know, they are also covering the experience of delivery. Then after they move from that, they move to the next part that okay, these are all the other parts of Amazon. Can you see how large Can you see how large of a system Amazon has? There's Amazon Studios, there's Prime Gaming, there's AWS. AWS are for people who are into what they call it. AWS are the people who are into websites, servers, and all. You know, AWS is where you host basically servers hosting things. There's Amazon Studios. Amazon Studios is their cinematography parts, like where they produce movies and things like that. See, there's Amazon Music, Amazon Key, Amazon Clinic, Amazon Pay, several things. So this was their fresh foods I was talking about. Amazon Fresh. It's so much. Imagine they are rebranding all of this, and all of these things are different personalities of one brand. So you see how wide you have to think, how you have to think of a strategy as well. Now, and you see what they decided to do was they kept just this Amazon logo. They redesigned this, then everything was then a text beside this. Amazon Prime. Can you see? So instead of the way it was before, where sometimes there's a different logo, can you see this Amazon Flex has a different logo? Amazon Prime Air, there's a different text. This Amazon Hub, can you see is a different text? Amazon Jobs is a different text. Echo is a different text. Reads. Some of all these things are different text. So what they then decided to do was unite everything under one typography. Can you see all of them are using the same? So they created a font called Amazon Sans. They created just one font for Amazon alone now. So like that font is for Amazon alone. Now, when they then created that font, that type for Amazon, they then kept this one. The only thing, all the brands now, they will be using their particular name. But the thing that will be consistent in all of these brands, in all of these sub brands under Amazon, is the Amazon logo. Can you see there's Amazon Prime, Autos, Pay, Elements, Fresh, everything, but Amazon remains consistent, and they are then using a consistent typography for everything. If you see these kids has a playful text, but if you scroll through this case study, you will see kids is the same typography. All of them are using the same typography. Now this is like it takes a proper strategy to come to this thing, because if this thing did not work, that means their strategy has failed. You understand? So all of this decision will not just come by because you just want to do design. It's because they've also done proper research as well. So now they move to another part. This is Kindle. Can you see Kindle has a different color? It's no longer orange. Now, can you see Amazon Prime? They've updated the color. This used to be the previous color. They also changed the color. Look at the brand system. See how many colors they are introducing, because the brands are so large. For Amazon Fresh, they are using what? They are using green mostly for Amazon Fresh. I'll go through some of the little rebrands they did as well. Now this is can you see, look at the colors they use for. So some of the brands, they started changing the colors. So for example, they started grouping some of the brands. Do you understand? So they had so many sub brands, like I said. You understand? They had so many sub brands. So what did they do? For like the grocery line, what did they do? They branded, they started creating categories for each of their brands. So now for like the house brands are the ones that are from Amazon itself. House brands, house brands are like, Amazon sells things like things for your house, things for your business, things for your children. So those house brands, they left them under what color orange. For grocery, things like supermarket, things you buy, they put everything under color green. For health, remember I told you they had their clinic line, their pharmacy. For health, they use this kind of coral green. Yeah, they are using like a sky blue for their devices. For their Prime, Amazon Prime, can you see? They are using what? They are using this shade of blue. For Alexa, look at this other shade of blue that they are using. So some of all these things, they have to spend time and think of what kind of colors, how will I brand most of all these things. And now you get, can you see how everything turned out? So mostly when you see anything that is maybe Amazon, like Amazon as an e-commerce company, you will see orange. Anything that is for maybe Amazon as what do you call it? Their pharmacy or things, you will see that shade of blue. For Amazon Prime, you will see this a different shade of blue as well. See their fresh. Can you see their fresh now? It's a shade of green. The same logo, the same typography, but different colors for a different perception of the brand. For something fresh, they are using green because green you can attribute green to something fresh, to something what? To something lively. Let me check my time. Shit, it's almost 12:30. Um, I'll be on fire now. I'll be speeding through. Then the last part focuses on your business, which is strategy. Focuses on business and investor confidence. Now, there's a part of brand identity design you will get to that. It's not just now. These ones are for top agencies. Don't stress yourself. I'm only just trying to show you other higher parts of brand identity design. Here, they are not only just thinking of doing a design for you, they are thinking of how to impact your business, like how to bring more money to your business. That is what this final level is of strategy. Here you will see some design agencies, they'll tell you, we don't only want you to pay us, we want a percentage of your company, or we want a percentage of profits you make when you launch this new brand. You get? That's because of the kind of brand strategy they are doing. It's not just only strategy again, it's also business strategy. um an example of that would be what Pentagram did. Pentagram is one of the biggest design agencies in the world. They charge in a space of like a million plus above in dollars, a million plus above in dollars for a brand identity design. So you should think about that like it's going to be beyond just design that these people will be doing. They charge a million plus dollars in designing identities. This was what they did for MasterCard. This was the evolution of MasterCard from what it was to what it is now. They worked on the experience of MasterCard. They did from how the logo will be like on cards, how the imagery will be like, how it will be like on things like can you see on packaging, on ID cards, on mobile devices, on apps. How would the logo look like on websites? How would the logo look like on their app? How would the logo look like on their cards? How would the logo like how the identity and not the logo, how the identity feel like on the card? How will it look like on their brochures? Can you see? They're even labeling it here, website brochures. Can you see how they're using it on billboards? How it is consistent? Can you see these circles? How it is consistent throughout the identity? Can you see that same circles? How they are using the circles on even simple things like on their ATM cards, their mobile apps. They are ensuring things like this are consistent. Now, this is where you go into the things like business. You can go to pentagram.com. You will see some things they've done that are more, it's not just a logo alone, that they've gone into business, like impacting a business. Do you get? So now we're going to move into like a strategy starter pack. So now, the reason why I'm showing more of agency work, I don't want you to look at yourself as just one person. You look at all these agencies and what can I pick from them? Even as a copy person, like what are agencies that I like? What are they doing? What can I pick from them? Now, um, for you to introduce things like this, you have things like positioning, where you play. You have things like promise, what you stand for, and prove. So now, when you want to speak with a company, you have to ask them where do they want to position themselves. Like, how do you want to position yourself in the market first? Like, where do you want to play? Do you want to play in the small game? Like, you want to play for the bottom feeders? Do you want to play in the elites? Like, do you want to play in like the elite part of the society? Do you want to play for the middlemen? Things like that. Positioning. What do you want to stand for? What's your promise? Like I said, use MTN as an example. MTN, their promise, what is MTN's promise? Everywhere you go. They did not tell you one for anything. MTN did not promise you good network. They just promised you that everywhere you go, you will see MTN. The network might be bad there, oh, but MTN will be there. That's their promise. Their promise to you is what? Will be with you everywhere you go. And to be fair, they've met that their promise because there's nowhere in Nigeria you want to go. If any network should be there, you will probably see MTN. That's how they've made themselves. And now they'll give you what? Proof. What is the proof? Everywhere you actually go, If you go anywhere in Nigeria, most times that their promise is true. They're not telling you we are going to give you good network, but at least you will see signal with MTN. Except you go into a very, very remote village that there's no network for anybody there. But if there's network there, like if there's a signal, if there's network signal, you will see MTN. That's their promise. And that's a strategy starter pack. When you're working with a business, you will move beyond just thinking of a logo, of the colors. You think of strategy, like how can they position themselves? How can they create a promise? And how can you make that promise visible, tangible for people to see? As we approach the end of this class, this session rather, I'll start giving some things for you to think through as a creative in general. One thing you should sell to customers when you are speaking with them, you should sell outcomes and not logos. You tell them that at the end of this session or at the end of this project with me, you get more people who attribute your brand to be something as an insightful brand, as a purposeful brand, as a wise brand, as opposed to telling them at the end of this project you will get one logo, you get the logo in PNG and JPEG. You get that is not value. Customers, clients will come back to repeat value. Anytime they sense value, they will always come back. You get so when you're selling outcome as a value, you're selling outcome like this is what at the end of this project, more people will see your brand and they will see a very lively brand, or they will see a brand that is purposeful, or they will see a brand that is lively. Things like that. When you can tie it to outcomes like that and not deliverables like the final thing you're giving them, you will always get repeat customers. See an example. Instead of telling a customer I'll design a logo, or at the end of this project you will get a logo, a high resolution logo, you tell them what? I'll help you stand out in a crowded market. Instead of asking them questions like, what do you like? You ask them, who are you trying to become as a company? When you're asking people, who are you trying to become as a company? When you're telling, oh, I want to be like, I want customers to feel like they are interacting with maybe a fashion brand, for example. You say, I want customers to feel like they're interacting with a Louis Vuitton brand or a Versace brand, things like that. You as a designer, you can picture that in your mind that like, when I think of Louis Vuitton or when I think of Versace, they are luxury. Give me a moment, please. Let me wet my. I just needed water. Um, when you think of brands like that, you can associate things to brands like that, and it's very, very helpful. It makes the customers think that the clients think that okay, what kind of company do I actually want to become? What are companies like? What are companies I've seen, and when I see them, I like what they do. Do you understand? Now, one other thing that can help you as a creative as well is to co-create with clients, show them value, make them feel like a part of the process. Like when you bring customers into your process, when you don't feel like I give you this and you give me back, I give you this and you give me back. Maybe the customer say I want a logo, you just go back and 2 days later you come back with logo and colors and you give it to them. Before you know, you feel like an order taker, you feel like a machine, like a factory where they just say, give me shoe, and you go inside and you come back. What you did may have been really nice, but you did not really provide value. Do you understand? So, but when you start making customers feel like a part of the process, you understand, showing them like, oh, this is how I thought of this is how I thought of that, presenting your ideas to customers, and they are giving you feedback at real time as well. You make them feel like they were a part of this, you understand, and they get to see more value like that. Now, how can you make customers, how can you make your clients feel like they are a part of the process? Is when you are presenting like a pro. You are walking clients through your projects. You are walking them through your process. You are telling them about the journey. You're not just taking them. So, for example, a client reached out to you, and like I said, brand identity design is more than just logo, colors and typography. But it's fine sometimes. Sometimes people reach out to you and they say, I want to design a brand. Majorly, most times, what they want is just logo, color, and typography. If that's where you are, it's fine. You can always grow from there. But if that's where you are currently, it's still fine. You understand? But even if it's just a logo you want to do for them, learn how to present it like a pro. And this is one guy I follow on Instagram. I'm going to show you his page. This is his page, Cheatco, CHITTCO. Basically, he tells you his own part is he tells you he makes your people pick you. Basically, what he's trying to say is making your customers or making your clients pick you. When you work on, if you go through his page, most times, most of the work, most times, is trying to show you how you can present things better. Basically, I don't know if I have time to show you. I'm trying to look for a video, a reel where this thing. Okay, yeah, this is an example. For example, I say this is an example. For example, it shows you. Can you see? It's walking you through process. For example, that was the initial logo. Can you see how it's walking you? It's showing you areas where the issues of the previous logo before it then walks you through the current one. If you go through most of it, if you go through his page on Instagram, most times, if you go through his page on Instagram, I think he did one. Can you see? Um, he show you an example. Can you see? He show you an example of how to present work to clients. If you go through his page, most times you will see so many examples of how he shows you how to present works to clients. Now, just so I'm not just showing you other people's work, I'm going to walk you through a case study, a project I did. I'm only just going to show you. No, I'm not going to show you the entire brand identity design because it's more of a restricted. But I'm going to show you how I presented logo options to a customer, to a client. I did this with a design studio. I worked with a design agency on this. Just give me a moment while I walk you through this. So now this was one I did for an agent for a brand called ICSS. First, I did the introductory part. This was their current logo. So now I started, can you see, just the same without reels I just showed you. I showed you the issues with the current logo, trying to work the customers, and this was a presentation. Like I was saying these things, I was speaking with the customer. I did not just send them these documents. I was speaking with them as I was presenting this as well. So I told them these were the issues with the current logo. You get, I showed them this was a mark that he felt they had previous logos today, and this was also very constant in their logo as well. Then I then told them that okay, I noticed this paper plane was something consistent with all the logos they've shared so far and their current logo. And you see, I'm walking them through their process. I'm also appreciating even one thing I always tell you, even if a client's logo is not you don't like it, it's very bad. Don't just come out right and say your logo is bad. Tell them the issues, the things you like in their previous logo. There always has to be something you like, and there always has to be something you think can be improved on. Notice I did not say something bad, something you can improve on. You get. So I told them that I noticed this paper plane. They seem to like it a lot. What did we then do? I then told them that there are many other brands that are using a paper plane like this. Can anybody tell me what brand logo this is? For those of us that used to
Telegram.
check, exactly, yeah, Chirendo, correct. This is Telegram. Telegram's logo is a paper plane. Um, WhatsApp's logo is a chat bubble. Now, in trying to design a brand already, there are many other brands. I just show them examples that like I cannot design another logo for them that just uses a typical paper plane because many other brands are already using this as their logo. So what did I then do? I started showing them brands that customers and competitors in their own scale you get because basically this brand they help entrepreneurs, they do entrepreneurship programs, things like that, and that is what some of all these brands are doing as well. You get, so I started showing them not just examples from our country. I started showing them examples from this technician is from UK, this is from Canada, this is from Turkey. You get, I started showing them the trends that other companies, other country, other brands that are in the same field like them, what they are doing. And these are I did not just show from one country, I show from different countries. Can you see how consistent the logos are from these different countries as well? So I started showing them. So all of this, what was I trying to do? I was trying to ensure I was exposing their mind, bringing them to be a part of the process trying to show them that like this is the global standard, this is what people are doing outside the country. After I moved with it, after that, I moved them to a mind map that this is how I think. You get. So before then, I had done like a brand discovery session. They started telling me things that they could associate with their brand, that they want to be an ecosystem for people to inspire people to create, for them to also start businesses and scale their business. You get. So now some of these things I brought some keywords from the meeting I had with them. I started attributing those keywords to things that are tangible, things you can touch. For an ecosystem, you can think of a cycle, you can think of nature, you can think of a flow, you can think of a loop. For an ecosystem, something that is circular, you get. For create, you can think of a spark, you can think of origami. Origami is like a paper plane is an origami. Basically, things you can craft with paper. That's what origami is. You get. So I started associating things like with their previous brands, things they've said in meetings before. I started associating them with their brand. That is what a mind map is. After I did that, I also did a stylescape, like a mood board. I did not have the mood board because the mood board was a different presentation for them. So first thing I did, I presented them with a new color scheme. I told them what each of these colors meant. Do you get? After that, I started showing them the logo rationale. Like this was what I was thinking. First thing I abstracted a paper plane into this shape. You get. I also brought out some words from the mind map I created earlier, and now with that, I then showed them the logo rationale. That this was what I was thinking. That like you can think of an arrow. You can also think of I measured what an arrow scaling up because the name of their brand is ICSS, Inspire, Create, Start, Scale. I also brought that paper plane idea that they had, and I brought up cycle. You know, cycle was something when I said something circular, something like a cycle when you're thinking of ecosystem. So this one I was presenting it and showing them as well. Then I came up with um, this is the first option. If you think of a paper plane, you can bring out the shape of a paper plane from this logo. And I presented this logo to them as the first option. Do you get? And I also show them how the logo could be. You get? I also show them an application of what the logo could be, more expressions of what the logo could be, how it could be on an ID card. Now, I was keeping all these expressions because most times they have a folder. They usually have a training manual and a folder. That's why if you notice here, it's called a trainer's guide. I ensured that every of the examples I was giving them was very, very consistent with things that apply to their brand. I was not just doing maybe putting a business card or putting like a boss, for example, putting the logo on a bus because how does a bus relate with a training program? Do you get? It might relate, maybe they might have a bus where they can take their trainers to different locations. You get? That's how I can relate it most times. But at this base point, I was taking things that were very essential to their current brand. Then I walked through the second expression where I told them about spark, nature, sprouting, like a flower sprouting. You get cycle, paper plane, and arrows. So basically, I then brought them like, okay, after everything, these were the more important things that I could bring out, like also a cycle, the paper plane. This is an abstract representation of the paper plane again, an arrow and a paper plane. Then if you think of a flower, like a flower blooming or opening, if you look at it from the top angle, when you see a flower blooming, this is what you will see, like an impact or expansion. Now, I presented them with the second option. Now, if you notice, this shape is repeated. Now, it was used to depict the whole idea of a cycle. You get like a cycle, like an ecosystem, like people coming together. So now you can use this to represent people coming together as a cycle to ICSS. And also, if you look at it, you can also see something blooming out. You get something expanding or scaling. Inside that scaling as well, you can also see these arrows as a cycle as well. This is like the paper plane. I still kept the paper plane idea. This might be a little complex. So with this, I show them an expression of how that logo can, like how it can work on a tote bag with a pattern as well. This was another expression of how it could be on how they could use it on social media. You understand? I'm showing them different expressions of the logo and presenting the ideas to them Then also, I then moved away from the paper plane idea and I thought of something like a flower sprouting. And you see, so this is like an abstract representation of something evolving, like an ecosystem can also represent growth. Then I presented them with that thing. Can you see how repeated it is to represent an ecosystem, something like a cycle repeated? Now, this I show them as a second option. I show them how it could be like as a poster. I also show them how it could be like on a t-shirt. Then after that, I show them all of the logos in black and white, in side by side for them to make a final decision. Now, then the regular thank you. This is how I present logos most times. You get something, and sometimes when I present a logo to a client, sometimes I'll walk them through a case study like that. You understand? I'll just try and just speak through because I'm almost done. Yeah, if you have any questions on that, you know, when we get to the question part, you can also ask. Now, this is one design agency I follow as well. Now, I just showed you my own. You might think, oh, it may not be a lot, or maybe it was okay. Now, this is what a design agency does. Can you see? I don't want to go through everything. Let me just go through the first one. Now, they were presenting a logo to a client. They had three directions. Now, this is just for direction one. They are showing different applications of the logo, how it could be used on posters, on papers, um, in stationery, in welcome cards, in those don't disturb cards. They were showing many applications of the logo. Can you see? This is just one on how it will look like on social media, on how it will look like on stories, things like that. Can you see? They are showing colors. This one, different colors for each of the direction. Now that's just direction one. There's direction two, which is different. There's direction three, which is different. Now they release this to public for everyone to see. You get, and in summary, after that, they then did a summary part. They showed all the logo options, all the different directions. Can you see? They showed it like, okay, this is direction one. This is a summary of direction one. This is a summary of direction two. This is a summary of direction three. Now, this is a design agency. I can only pick one or two things from this and use it to improve my own flow. I cannot sit down and design something as extensive like this because personally it will take time. Do you understand? But now this is how you present like a pro. There's no way you will come and meet a client and you're walking them through a presentation like that, walking them through ideas instead of just I want a logo and you just send them a document that has three or four logo options and that is it. It will not be treated of the same value when you present like a pro. And I will advise you to check this guy's page out, Cheatco. He does a lot of things like that. Now, the next thing I'll tell you as an advice is to expose yourself to the best. Expose yourself to the best. Follow design agencies a lot. I'll tell you to follow more of design agencies than following people alone. You can follow people you think that are doing really good. Like example, I showed you that burial guy, his case study and things he does because he's a solo designer, but he does a lot of things. But I follow design agencies more. Follow them to get inspiration, to see, to expand your mind on what could be, you get on what an identity could be like, on how you can make things more consistent through imagery, through illustration, through even typography as well. And you will see yourself get way better. Some other tips I'll share, which is like ship small and share in public. Like if you're a creative, even if you're a copywriter, always share in public. I have copywriting friends. Almost every month, they share like two Medium. I don't know if we know what Medium is, Medium or Substack. They write and they share it on Medium or Substack. And when they've written it on Medium or Substack, they go to social media and they post that, oh, I wrote an article on this. Kindly engage. Get now that is just even copy. Then you that you're a designer who can just instead of writing on some other platform, you can just go to Twitter or Instagram, create like a fictional brand, create a passion project. I would advise to do many passion projects. You get Some of all these agency works I've shown you, you can go there and try and recreate what you saw. You get, not recreate everything, recreate some of them and add your own little spice to it. You understand? And share in public. Let people see this thing. That's like the surest, the surefire way of bringing more people. Create reusable templates. Like I said, for example, your for brand identity design. Let me say at one point you will design a brand guideline. I'll advise you to create a template so that when next you are doing another brand for a different person, you can use that as a template to quickly work efficiently. You get, also regardless of where you are, if you're a designer or if you're a motion guy, learn how to write clearer copies, learn how to say less and mean more. You get, the more you get better at copy, which has even been the whole purpose of this session. The more you get better at writing better copy, the better your designs, the better the things will communicate. For example, you've seen, I'm sure most times your host Victor, he posts some billboards. When you see billboards, you see a very beautiful design, but you see a very short copy. And when you look at the copy and you look at the design, you see how they pair so beautifully well. Like the copy might just be 2 words or 3 words. You get, and you look at the design, everything blends well. You get, that copy was very short, you get, and it just blended well with that design. Why? It's because the person has learned to write clearer copies. And basically the lesser you say, the more, like the more better you get. You see you're writing less words but they are meaning more. You get, also tie your design to outcomes. So for growth, trust and clarity, if you tie your designs to outcomes most times, like I said, what people say about the brand after you finish the identity, things like that. Once you tie it to outcomes, you're going to see more people, come meet you for work, for to work with them, basically. Yeah, and some other things that I can advise again is, for those of you that are interested in brand identity design, try and do things like do challenges like 30 logos in 30 days, redesigning an identity. You see an identity you like, you pick few things. Like you don't need to redesign everything. It's going to be a lot of work. Maybe just you like how the pattern is, you get, just redesign it. Don't go and post and say it's your work. Just say, oh, you design this, things like that. It will sharpen your skills, sharpen you, and make you better, basically. And some of the accounts, like I said, that I would suggest you follow again, are this guy is Cheatco. It shows you how to present your brand identity works better. The next person I'll advise you to follow is Chris Do. Chris Do is a designer, but he's also a personal branding coach. He's a business and a personal branding coach. So imagine somebody that knows how to design and he also understands business as well, how to brand yourself, either as a creative. Basically, if you're a creative, I'll advise you to follow Chris Do. He teaches you the business of design. So basically, or I'll not just use design, I'll say the business of a creative. So basically, a creative and you want to brand yourself as someone that is professional, somebody that wants to charge more, follow Chris Do. I'll advise you to follow him. On YouTube, I'll advise you to follow Flux Academy as well. And also, Chris Do has his own YouTube channel called The Future, just without the E, but The Future. I'll advise you to follow these pages as well. They have short videos. The longest you might see is like this 1 hour, but you see, if you go through his page, you see he has like, you see 14 minutes, 10 minutes, 13 minutes, 7 minutes. You get, he has short videos. It teaches you how to beat competition without lowering your price. So it teaches you how to price yourself, like as a creative in general, either you're into copywriting, branding, and things like that. It teaches you how to speak to customers. I watch his videos a lot. I've been following him for like since 2020, and he has really helped my career. You get, when it teaches you how to, when a customer reaches out to you, asking you, and I gave you an example when I said somebody reached out to you and is asking you how much for a brand design, and you start asking him questions. There are some customers that will tell you, why you asking me questions? Just tell me a price. You get, how do you handle clients like that? I'm telling you, stop asking me questions. I just want to know price first. Tell me price first. Then this guy will teach you how to actually price yourself if you are forced into situations where you cannot gain enough clarity that you need, and you need to say a price, things like that. So I'll tell you to follow him. Watch his content a lot as well. When if you want to really understand as a creative how you should position yourself in pricing and making more money in general. And when it comes to like the craft itself, like understanding the craft, like presenting your works, you get. I'll tell you to follow Chitko and Flux Academy on YouTube. Yeah, I think that's majorly it from me. If you have any questions, I would be willing to take them now. If there are none, I'll say thank you. Yeah, thank you for your time, everyone.
All right. Thank you so much, Honors.
Thank
We
you,
really,
Mr.
really
Honors.
appreciate that.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
so much. Yeah, please, if you have questions, please just raise your hand and ask your question, please. We don't have much time left.
I have a question, or like I just need help with something. So I feel like I really don't know how you're able to, go about this creative process of, coming up with a logo that aligns with the objective and the focus of whatever brand that you're working with. Like how do how do I work in that creative process? How do I like come up with this logo?
Okay, just to be clear, you want to understand how you create a logo that is aligned with the objectives of a business or a brand, right? Is that the question you
Yes,
asked? Okay.
yes.
All right. Okay. Okay. Awesome. My name is Onos. Please don't call me sir. My name is Onos. Um, Okay, yeah. So I think one the easiest way, I'll not say the easiest way, working on brand identity design is very stressful. For people who have been in it for a while, they'll tell you it's very stressful because you need to do a lot of research. You need to do a lot of research. But the easiest method I'll always tell you is don't jump into when a customer comes for a logo, don't jump into a project just by them telling you I want a logo and this is the name of my brand. Sometimes like if you are very very good, you'll be able to do something that is fine, you get. But the first thing I always tell you is to have a meeting with them, ask them questions. Why did you pick this name? You get. Does this name mean anything? You get. When I was showing you this case study, this one I did earlier, most of the solutions or most of the options I brought, some of all these keywords I brought were from conversations I had. We had a meeting with the customer. They were telling us their ideas. Allow customers speak about their brand. Let them speak. Just pick your note and your pen, or if you are typing, write as much as you can. I have a notepad when we had this meeting. I wrote about like 3 or 4 pages of things they were just saying of then one thing we noticed they were saying a lot was ecosystem, ecosystem, ecosystem. They said ecosystem like 15 times during the meeting. You get, and we knew that that word they may not have known, but like we also told them when I was presenting, when I got to this point when I was talking about mind map, I told them the reason why they are seeing ecosystem as number one is because we noticed they said it a lot. You get, and then they were like, oh wow, we did. Oh, that's true. We actually want to be an ecosystem. You get, and then I then move forward to a point of saying, okay, how can an ecosystem actually be visualized? You get. So now, one thing I'll tell you is you need to be able to research a lot. Research in the terms of like you need to do a brand discovery session with the customer, ask them question, and like I said, you reach out to people. If you have friends in the design field, ask them what are the kind of questions they will ask a customer when they want to work with you. Yes. um I've pointed out some questions, like asking their scope, asking their target audience, asking their who their competitors are, some other questions, like some other decision questions like that. So when you ask like solid questions like that for a customer, asking them to tell you about the brand. Oh, this name, I like it. How did you come about this name? Things like that. Tell me your brand story. Like, how did you create this brand? when customers share things like that, you'll be able to create things that are very in line with their brand. You remember when I was walking us through um, all these logos. I can tell you all these logos. I mean, other than this in drive you can see is I and D. But this Toyota means something to the brand itself. Funny enough, this thing you're seeing here is a pinhole, like a needle hole. I mean, all of us we've sewn a torn cloth before. You can see a needle hole here, and this is basically a thread passing through a needle hole. Everything representing the letter T. The owners of Toyota, they had a humble beginning of being farmers initially. People used to create cotton and threads and needles, things like that. They used to work in basically an industry where they were using threads and needle more. That was where this logo was created from. Like what I just told you, this logo would not have been created if the designers they did not ask about their heritage, like where they were coming from. Now, another example was the was I can't find it anymore. The Adidas one, the one I showed you of the Adidas and the mountains. Basically, they created an abstract version of a mountain. You get representing challenges people overcome a lot. Do you understand? So now it's when you ask more about a brand that you'll be able to get an understanding or definition of how to create things that align with their objective. When you present it well to them, like these are the things you told me, and it's from the things you've told me that I've created this. That is basically what presenting is, and you'll be able to create things that are very much in line with customers. Sorry, I spoke so much about that. I hope that answers your question, Adejumobi.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Daniel.
No problem. If there are any questions, I can still entertain more before um, I'm done. I know I promised 60 minutes. I'm sure I took more than 60 minutes, but
It's almost going to 2 hours.
wow.
All right. Are there other questions? If you have a question, please feel free to raise your hand and ask before we draw the curtain on this session. Um, okay. Okay. All right. If there's no other question, then let's call it a wrap on this session. Thank you so much, Onos, for this session. We really, really appreciate this. Was very, very insightful. Thank you for taking out your time to. We know it took a lot to to come up with this presentation and to spend your time with us. We know you're a very, very busy person. Thank you so much for taking out your time for. I'm sure most of us on this call are young creatives. Some of us are undergraduates, some fresh graduates, still looking to find their feet in the creative industry. And so we really appreciate the time that you have taken to pour into all of us today. And we pray that God will continue to bless you. Um, Somebody's asking in the comment section if they can get access to your slides. You make it available to them.
Yeah, sure. I'll send it to you. I'll send it to you, and I'll send it to you. Then you can share it with your community.
Okay. So one plea that I'll make this afternoon. So I made it to other facilitators that taught us in the previous weeks. So all the participants in this edition of the Hangar Sessions were asked we grouped them and they were asked to come up with um, a particular presentation. I'll probably send you the brief later. The winners, so I think they are grouped in a group of six. I think there are six in each group, and they'll be doing their presentation. We'll have to reschedule that presentation. It was supposed to come up today, but since our time is fast spent, we'll have to reschedule that. So the winners of that competition will get the chance to choose which of our facilitators will be mentoring them. We'll get the chance to mentor them for about 3 months. So it's not going to be something tedious. We know all our facilitators are busy people, even if it's twice a month or 3 times in a month that you have time for them. just put them through whatever it is they are having difficulties with. So we are making this plea that you make yourself available when that need arises. Can you hear me, others?
Sure, definitely.
All right. Thank you so much. So yeah, to the participants, we have a lot to take away from today's class, a whole lot. Don't just, if you are a graphics designer, if you're a creative designer, if you, whatever it is that you do that has to do with graphics, don't just do it for the sake of doing. Do it with a purpose, tie a story to it. Everything just points back to the first class that we had on storytelling. Let everything that you do, let it tell a story. Let it have a purpose and a reason behind it. Let it be purposeful. Don't just say, oh, the name of this brand is Icon. Let me just put an icon there. Or let me just write a text icon. So let it be purposeful. Let there be a story to whatever it is that you are spending your time doing. And of course, Unos was the one who worked on the brand identity for Cockpit Media. Those of you who have seen our logo, he was the one who worked on the logo design. Even for Sips in Christ as well, he was, some of you know about Sips in Christ, he was the one who worked on the creative design and the identity for Sips in Christ. You can follow him on Instagram and on Twitter at Heroid to see some of the works that he has done in the past. You see, like his pages, his Instagram page is literally like his portfolio. So yeah, for the task presentation, we have to reschedule that. Like I said, a later date will be communicated to everyone in the group. Please, if you have not finalized your tasks, because some groups reached out to me telling me yesterday that they have not finalized their presentation. Please, if you have not finished working on it, please spend time this coming week, working on it and perfecting it. If you have turned it in and you think that there are some other things that you need to adjust in it, please do well to adjust those things. Hopefully, I think next week, Saturday, will be the best time for us to do the task presentation. It won't be taking so much time. We'll try as much as possible not to stretch us when that task presentation comes up. But yeah, I think that's the only announcement we have to make. If you have any difficulties, please do well to reach out to me or reach out to Ugochi in the group with any difficulties you're having or anything you need clarity on as well. So yeah, in the absence of any other contribution or questions, we'll call it a day in this class today. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye-bye.
All right, guys, have a good one.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Unos.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys. Thank you, Honors. Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.